What's up, everybody? Michael Richards here with Elite Athletic Performance. Welcome back for another EAP discussion video. A little bit different setting today. I'm going to take you through some of the things that I would use if I was having to limit my equipment, if I was in a situation where I was with a school with my budget was low, or if I'm with a youth team and we're just not going out and buying a bunch of equipment. These are the things that I would start with, the first things that I would have. And then, later on we would worry about getting other things worked into the budget. But I'm going to give you what I would have, like the actual pieces of equipment, and then some crude ideas that you could makeshift some ideas, some things that would work with them. Then I'm going to go through, I actually walked through the exercise section at Walmart and took some pictures, and I'm going to go through some of the equipment that I would get and some that I wouldn't. So stick around. It's going to be a good one. Okay, so the very first thing that I'm going to use if I am in, it doesn't matter the age, it doesn't matter where I'm at, it doesn't matter where you are at, it doesn't matter if you've got are limited in space, if you've got a whole open field. About the only thing that could hinder you from doing this is if you don't have a surface that is safe enough to run on, and in that case you'd probably, I guess you don't have access to a field either. I guess you would play at tournaments. But the thing about it is, with this, there is absolutely nothing you need other than the athletes, and there are limited, just an unlimited amount of ways that you can change it. You could do a different drill that would accomplish the same thing every day, or every single day for like the rest of your life, and practically never run out of ideas. All right, so these are called what we call tag drills, and I don't think it could ever be overstated how important or how valuable top end sprinting is. As fast as the athlete can run, that I just can't tell you how important that is, and I would put that up against every exercise in the weight room. Dead serious, every single exercise in the weight room, because honestly they don't get it that much. When they do run, they're usually jogging if they're in practice, because we've gotten on that in other videos. But top end sprinting as fast as you can go, like for a 3 to 4 second burst, the distance between bases is completely invaluable. Like I can't put a price on how valuable that is. So the first thing you'll run into if you do try to have them sprint, you line them up on the line and have them sprint. You're not going to get full effort. It happens all the time. So, and this is just human nature. This is not, it's kids, yes, but it's human nature. We all do this. So what you want to do is you want to set them up in tag drills. And we should call them pass drills, because I changed it. We used to do tag drills. Sometimes it can get a little heated if somebody gets pushed down or something like that. So we usually just try to pass each other, but the most basic tag drill would actually start right here in our gym, and I don't know if that is in frame, but there's a beat up old tattered taped line right there, a black line, and that is marking there's another line back down there that's 10 yards away. I just want 10 yards. That's all that matters. 10 yards. You have to run a good 10-yard sprint if you're going to run a good 20-yard sprint and a 30-yard sprint. If you get good at a 10-yard sprint, your rate of force development goes through the roof. They'll start hitting the ball harder. They'll start throwing harder, just because they're able to create power from a dead stop right here. That's how the body works. These things are invaluable to helping your athletes get better. So what I'm going to do, I'll have one right here at the 10-yard line, and then depending on how fast, how much of a difference there is between the two athletes, if I'm chasing them, then I'm not going to give them much of a lead here. But if you've got a guy that's pretty fast, or they're pretty considerably similar in speed, then you're going to just set him back here at a little bit of a distance back here, and you're going to have them. I want them to go on this person's go. I don't want to count them down. I don't want them reacting to me. I want them reacting to their opponent, to the competition. Unknown factors. That's what I want them reacting to. That is invaluable as well. So what I'm going to do, have them right here. This guy's right here. That guy's right there. On that guy's movement, he takes off. This guy right here is trying to pass that guy before he gets to that 10-yard line right there. That's it. It's that simple. You trick them into competing, and you will get so much value out of that. I kid you not. If you absolutely do not have any equipment, nothing, if you don't have anything to work with them on, You start doing these at the beginning, or warm them up really well before, if you do it at the beginning of practice, or you do it at the end of practice, assuming you don't have really long, exhausting practices, and you will see noticeable results very quickly. And I'll, like, 100%, it's laughable how much I will put this up against any speed and agility drill, any footwork drill, anything. This will create speed faster than anything in the world, which I've said a million times. I don't really care about speed. I care about hitting the ball harder and throwing it harder. But guys and girls that have developed new speed in a 10-yard sprint, it's been shown over time and time again, they will hit a ball harder and throw a ball harder. So therefore, I train this in our programming. That's the only reason I use it. So, but some people do care about speed. All right, so I promise you, there is no speed and agility work in the world that will build speed like this, ever. It's never going to happen. But then, so say you want to start mixing it up a little bit, you can take, you can put anything down, a foam roller. This is an old bench press block, a foam roller, whatever. You can have them lay on the ground and do pop-up sprints. So you could have a foam roller right here, say this is a foam roller, and you could have one right there, and they're both having to lateral jump over it before they go, okay? So you're going to say, all right, the guy in front, he's going over to his right. You got to go over to your right. So as soon as that guy jumps, they're both reacting. He's going to jump over and sprint out, and then it turns into the same sprint drill. Put this guy right down here, put him on his back, and put this person on his belly. Have them pop up. Literally millions of combinations of ways to start this drill, and you'll never run out of them. They will never get tired of them. So, because they're competing, and that's the fun part. So, using those, give those a try. If, like I said, if there is one thing that I would use, it's that. So, moving on. And I'm doing these in order of importance because, you know, just obviously for obvious reasons. So, yeah, I've always said if I could only take one piece of equipment with me the rest of my life, it would absolutely be a sled. It's a no-brainer for me because there's so much I can do with it. Well, obviously, if you can purchase a sled, then you need to purchase a sled. But if you can't, and I know we have those small drag sleds, I would definitely go with these over those first. Those are a luxury more. I mean, you can do everything you need to do with those, with this, if you really want to, but there's a lot of really valuable things you can do with a big sled that you can't do with those, I guess. Potato, potato maybe, but I would go with the big ones so they can push. So obviously, if you don't have a sled, some crude versions of that. Obviously, everybody's going to think of plate pushes, putting a metal plate on the ground and pushing it. I don't like those. Their blood rushes to their head. It makes them nauseous. You will get a lot of guys throwing up. And I mean, like, I know sometimes it's cool for people to joke. It's really not cool to make an athlete throw up because you're really just setting them back a long ways. They need that nutrition. They need those calories. So you're not really getting anything done other than stroking your ego when you make an athlete throw up. So I would avoid that. The first thing that comes to mind is if you can find anything that will slide across the ground, like a box with the plate. Obviously, I said I didn't really like that because it's so low to the ground and you can't really load it up. But if you can find something that will slide, you can take that plate and load it up. And now you can obviously take the weight off and do speed sled pushes. Or you can do heavy sled pushes with the plate on top, with plates on top, or a person, or whatever. So that's a really good setup. Obviously, I mean, if you have the right place to do it, you could use a vehicle. Just make sure if you're pushing at the back of a truck that the trailer hitch is out, because if your feet slip, you're going to be buying some new teeth, and nobody wants that. Very painful. Okay, so then the next piece of equipment that I'm going to have is a med ball. And if you're going to spend some money on them, I would definitely recommend not getting the hard ones that dribble like this. I would definitely recommend the softer ones like this for a couple of different reasons. If you were to try to throw them to a wall, it would do less damage, which I know it's a pretty unique setup to have a wall that you can throw to that it's okay if you tear it up. So probably not going to have that. On top of that, I have seen when you're trying, I mean, med ball slams are the most simple med ball exercise that you can use. They're so effective, they're so good, they're so perfect for so many applications, and I have seen this happen and come back and just absolutely uppercut kids, and blood goes everywhere, and you don't want that, especially if it's on a concrete floor. So if you have the choice, get the these are Rhino Pro Max Minis. I'll link all of this stuff in the description. Don't go over about 6 to 8 pounds. And you definitely, the reason I got this one out, I don't really like this one, honestly, because it's too big. A 10-pound med ball can go both ways. There is actually a 10-pound med ball back here that I got at like Academy Sports a long time ago, and I really don't mind it. So this is 10 pounds right here, and it's really good for slamming and all that stuff. So is this. This thing is so big and bulky, it like slips out of your hands. It's awkward, which is okay for certain applications. It's great for keg toss and things like that. But if you're trying to do a med ball or a scoop toss, which is like that, that's a difficult ball to handle if you've done a lot of med ball scoop tosses. So I would go with this one. And then on top of that, my favorite med ball drill, my favorite thing to do with med balls, aside from scoop tosses and throw them to the wall, is a game that I call Ball Burnout. And basically you have one or two athletes. This is another one of those ways to trick them in and trick them into competing, and then you get all kinds of good results from it. So you don't want them too far away from each other. Well, I don't have any friends, so we'll pretend that the wall is my friend here. And you're going to set them, you're going to say, all right, you can't run into this, like we're not getting a running start. You can either throw it like this, and you can turn like this if you want, but you can throw it like that. You can throw it overhand like that, or yeah, and overhead like that. So you can throw it like this or like that. If it's a catchable ball and the other person doesn't catch it, they owe 10 push-ups. Okay, and usually you'll want to have somebody there refereeing to decide whether it's a catchable ball or not, for real. So, catchable ball, the beauty of this game, obviously, is here's what's going to happen if you buy these med balls. If you're not really watching them and say they're slamming them or they're throwing them against the wall or anything, this is the slam you get. Med balls lose their effectiveness if you are not actively trying to break these things, okay? It's just not good enough. What you want is an absolutely violent throw. Well, I can promise you the easiest way to get a violent throw out of a kid is for them to be throwing it at another kid, and that's all the way up to adult kids. So if you want to get a very violent throw out of them, it's very easy to be like, bloody noses are encouraged. Here, knock yourself out, literally. And that will absolutely get. Then there is a bonus to this. Catching that med ball coming at a high rate of speed is super productive. When you can train this for them to be able to brace their body, their core. You talk about abs and core, like sit-ups don't do core. That's a complete myth. It's a waste of time. It's actually an injury waiting to happen. You want to train your core, do this game because of the throw and the catch. It's a great game. You'll really like that one. Plus, like I said, you can put that game out there in front of them. You can go read the newspaper for 30 minutes if you want, because there's going to be so much productivity going on. It's going to blow your mind. All right. So, and a side note of that, I said I was going to give you some crude ideas for it. We used to have a piece of equipment around here, and I don't even know, it's not around here anymore. I don't even remember how it started. It was probably something along the lines of one of these. I think it may have been, actually, I think it was one of these type of med balls right here, and it busted. And somebody put sand in it and taped it up, and then somebody put something else around it. Well, it turned out to be this, it honestly looked like a huge baby. And they referred to it as the itch, but with a B on the front of it. So that was its name. Where's the itch? With a B word in front of it. And we would chunk that thing, we'd throw it in the air, we'd see who could throw it the farthest, we'd see who could throw it the highest, And it was heavy. I think I ended up weighing, it was like 33 pounds or something, you know. You can make one of those really simply, and it doesn't have to be with a med ball. I mean, you could take anything, you know, that has a little bit of weight to it. I think I ended up wrapping a towel around it and then duct taping it again so it was a little softer if somebody got hit with it or something. But it was about that big by the time I ended up getting rid of it later when we moved into this place. But anyways, that's another idea. You can make your own heavy implement and just literally have contests for your kids to, like, who can throw this thing the farthest, okay? Do stuff like that. That's a great game and great ways to get them. You can also, with the lighter volleyball or the lighter med ball, you can put an L screen up and have them play volleyball with it to where they catch it and then they just toss it back over, catch it, toss it back over. That is a great game and a great way to get training activity, get good positive training activity. Very little equipment. Again, I wouldn't use one of those hard med balls. I would use one of those. Is a bear crawl, okay? Bear crawling is one of the most essential athletic components to building an athlete, and you would be shocked at how bad kids are at it. When you have a kid that is good at a bear crawl, you usually have a kid that's very athletic. So first off, bears do not walk like this, like that. They don't walk like, bears walk like this. Their back is pretty steady, like there's a glass of water on it, like that. Hopefully you can see that in camera. I've got a video on our channel of it too. The back is steady and flat. Now my left hand and my right foot are going to move forward. Some very small steps. Just like that. That's a bear crawl, okay? There is actually some research that has shown that the kids and the athletes that can bear crawl have less arm injuries than in the throwing population. So that's why we bear crawl every day. So, one of the most popular pieces of equipment that you see for warm-up is a foam roller. People carrying them around. For a long time, I was trying to have enough, especially when we were doing classes, when we would have 20 and 30 people in a class. I was trying to figure out a way to budget in foam rollers because they're expensive. And then I was at Home Depot one day and I realized that why would I buy a foam roller and make it hurt less? Because really and truly soft tissue work, which is what we call foam rolling and all of the massage type of things that we do, you want it to hurt as bad as possible. So this is 3-inch PVC pipe cut in about 2-inch piece or 2 feet, 2.5 feet lengths. Obviously I didn't even square it up. I just cut them off with the Sawzall. And I made like 30, 40 of them for like 20 bucks. Now material is a lot higher now than it was then. Still very expensive, or inexpensive. A foam roller is gonna be $10, $15 a piece. So if you needed multiple ones, you're gonna get expensive really quick. So this is one of the ones that I use. This is effective. We've got some foam rollers for the beginners that I know it's gonna light up, but like the ones that have been foam rolling for a while, they have to use these. One of the most versatile balls, in my opinion, is a 2-pound ball, okay? You can do reverse throws and post throw. You can go upward tosses. I like the reverse throws for the warm-up. I like the upward tosses for the cool down. I like a little bit calmer things for the arm cool down, a little bit more violent things for the warm-up, okay? So there used to be a ball at Walmart that they called a yoga ball, which I still don't understand, but it was purple. And it was barely bigger than this, but it was literally exactly this, and it was the same weight and everything. It's so funny how that worked out. But I was buying those before I ever heard of Driveline, and we were throwing them again in between sets. I was having them do throws to this jump mat I don't even know, it's like a gymnastics mat or something, but I leaned it against the wall, and in between sets of whatever we were doing that day, I would have a drill that we would do, and I wanted them to throw this ball against that thing because it would provide quick reps without the thought process of hitting a target. They could actually work on feeling a mechanic or things like that. It would be quick. So before I ever heard of Driveline, I had started kind of tinkering with Plyo Balls. I don't know if you can get those things anymore, but this is what we use now. They're about $10 a piece at Driveline. If you wanted to make your own, if you needed, if you need one, then $10 is probably doable. But if you needed multiple ones, you can cut a tennis ball open, put fishing sinkers in there, something like that, and then duct tape it back up, maybe use some athletic tape so it's not slippery. And then you will have a weighted ball. It doesn't have to be precise. Don't make it 10 pounds, but I mean, I would try to get it around 2 pounds. I think this is, they do these in grams. I have no idea how many, how close 1,000 grams is to 2 pounds, but I know it's close. Obviously, everybody knows how to make a heavy bat. It's simple. You can just put tape, you can put whatever, you can get all kinds of, I've seen washers and all kinds of stuff on bats, which actually I would probably not do anymore, because if it did come off and break it, that just seems like somebody's gonna get hurt. All right, this is a broken wiffle ball bat, actually. Anyways, wiffle ball bats. It doesn't have to be one of these training wiffle ball bats. It can be a normal one too. Everybody understands heavy bats, but not many people understand the value of a light bat. And I would actually put the value of a light bat probably up against a heavy bat as far as just productivity goes. Building speed, bat speed, and building quickness is actually done with lighter implements. It's not that simple, but it is a big factor in it. The high school guys come in, this is part of their warm-up. They just to the radar gun. And that is extremely effective at building athleticism, at building bat speed, and all kinds of stuff like that. On to the pieces of equipment at Walmart that I found that I would suggest getting. I'm gonna start with the ones that I would give a go, and then I'm going to finish with the ones that I would not do. All right, so first one is resistance bands. It's like a resistance band combo is what it's called, and that's going to be what we call a mini band. All right, these things are super effective. They're super versatile. You can do all kinds of good stuff with them. We do a little bit of shoulder work, shoulder warm-ups like this. We call these bus drivers, mini band shoulder tear aparts. We actually have this one exercise we do that's just brutal that you don't realize, but you have a small dumbbell in each hand, and you tear the band apart and keep it torn apart and do a front raise like that, and it is so hard. It doesn't look like it would be, but it is so hard. You obviously can do, the volleyball players do a lot of mini band monster walks, and when you're doing monster walks, the harder or the lower and closer to the feet they are, the harder it's going to be. So a lateral monster walk is like this. It's a great warm-up for anybody, any sport. And a normal monster walk is like this. I like small steps with a monster walk, but some people take bigger steps. Not a right or wrong way. They're good. They're both good. So that is a really good investment. If you wanted to get a few cheap things at Walmart to use, that's a good place to start. Ab wheels. These things are great. This is like one of the few things that you've seen on an infomercial that are actually good, okay? The number one mistake that I see with these is if you have an athlete that's telling you that these hurt their back. What's happening is they're doing the exercise and they're getting way too far out here and their back is sagging like that, okay? You want them to stay nice and tight, just like this. And once they start getting, to a little, about here, honestly, is good, and then just bring it back in. If they start telling you that their back is hurting, tell them not to go as far, okay? So they're trying to stretch, the first thing they're going to do is try to go all the way out here. They don't have to do that. They just need to go here, just like that. They need to be able to keep their spine neutral. No sag, no dip in the back. Furniture sliders. These things are amazing, okay? These are probably one of the most low-key, versatile things that you can get. There's endless things you can do. I'll put a list, I'll link the play, because I don't even have time to show you all the things you can do with this. We have a whole bunch of them on our YouTube channel. I'll just make a playlist of all the slider things, and I'll link it in the description, because these things are phenomenal. And, I mean, these are furniture sliders. Don't buy the exercise ones. They're like 20 bucks a piece. You can get, like, 3 sets of these for 11 bucks. So the suspension trainer is what some people would call a TRX. You don't have to get the TRX. You can use any of these things are great. Again, playlist linked in the description. I'll show you that, all the things that you can do like that. We don't have time to go over all the great things that you can do with a suspension trainer. One of the things that I would not get, okay? First one is battle ropes. or conditioning ropes is what some people call them. I know you're probably shocked by that. I know everybody loves those things, and they look cool. They do look cool, but there's not really anything they're doing other than making you tired. And this is actually a really good time for a side note on that. When you are training athletes, tired and fatigue is the enemy. You don't want them tired. Please don't force them into being tired. What you've got to understand is, like, we're all coaches. Every one of us as coaches have this stopwatch ticking in our head at all times, and downtime makes us crazy. It drives us crazy, but the hard part about it is that you're going to have to understand is recovery is downtime. It has to be. So, and like the battle ropes are just one of those things that there's not really any purpose other than making you tired. If you're going to make them tired, there needs to be a better reward for it than that, okay? So I'm not a big fan of battle ropes. It's not the end of the world if you want to use them. They do look cool, yes, but really and truly at the end of the day, they're really not. There's just a lot of other things we could get a whole lot more value out of that energy for. Okay, fitness ball. No unstable surfaces, okay? No unstable surfaces. So a little side note of this is the guy that invented the fitness ball, if I am understanding it correct, has since made the statement that he wished he had never made it. So why is that? Okay, so if you are participating in a sport in which the surface that you are competing is moving, the only things that I can think of are bass fishing, wakeboarding, maybe you could talk me into believing roller derby, Tony Hawk and skateboarders, surfboarding, things like that. That's an unstable surface. You could probably talk me into maybe needing a fitness ball for that. All the rest of us do not compete on unstable surfaces. And I know, believe me, I fell into this rabbit hole in 2012-ish, somewhere around in there. I fell into this rabbit hole to where you look at it and you're like, my gosh, if they can accomplish the thing that we're doing in our sport, like hitting or pitching or whatever, while standing on this unstable surface, think about all of the good or the productivity or the core or the core strength or the ankle stability, all that stuff. Think about all that. It doesn't work that way. And I know that doesn't make sense. Believe me, I know you're looking at it. It looks so perfect. Listen, the human body basically uses that. It's what they call a feed-forward mechanism, okay? In Arkansas terms, that means it is a huge, like when the human body encounters something like that, it's a huge brush fire. They get it put out, and then it gets the fire put out, and then it moves on. Okay? We don't need to train the body to put out brush fires. The gas principle is the general adaptation syndrome. Okay? Is general adaptation syndrome. In the way I would describe it, like it's we want gains. We need gains. Okay? It's what we call them, gains, right? You call them gains, I call them gains. What we're trying to do is create a stimulus. When you are training and when you are performing exercise, this is literally the most basic component or concept of training. You are trying to create a situation to where if your body could talk, your body would say, whew, that was tough. I need to be better prepared for that the next time I encounter it. You pick up a 15-pound dumbbell and you do 20 bicep curls with it this week. It starts getting heavy towards the end. If you start doing that 2 times, 3 times a week, in 3 weeks it won't be heavy anymore. That's general adaptation syndrome. You created gains. You created new fitness. You created new ability. Unstable surfaces don't create new ability. The body figures out how to get it done without falling on its face, and then it moves on. There is no general adaptation for that. You can take your best guess as to why. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't. Now, I know what you're thinking, but LeBron does it, right? You've seen LeBron do it. LeBron does it as a warm-up. Don't forget that part. It is a fantastic warm-up because at that given point in time, It is. It's all you're trying to do is get ready for competition. And it does. Like, your body gets very hot and sweaty very quickly and warmed up when it's putting that brush fire out. But it won't create a lasting training effect. So understand that going into it. Warm-ups, whatever. I still would use a different warm-up, but LeBron is a freak athlete. So, I mean, and he has a $1,000 an hour trainer that goes everywhere with him. So, you know, he can do that. That's fine. For a warm-up, if I would play med ball burnout or tag drills if I was going to do it. I wouldn't be worried about this. So leave the fitness balls out of it. Weighted belts, no, bad dog, no weighted belts. Okay, if there is a 1 rep max happening, you are allowed to use a weighted belt. Your athletes are allowed to use a weighted belt. Do not be that guy walking around with a weighted belt on when he's just exercising. Or you're creating a weakness. It's a crutch, man. If you have a perfectly healthy 2 legs, but then I take a crutch and I start walking around with a crutch under my right arm for the next month, guess what's going to happen to my right leg? It's going to get weak. That's what happens. This is how back injuries are created, is people training with weighted belts on, okay? No weighted belts. Unless there is an absolute competition 1 rep max happening, then you can use a weighted belt, because at that point you are not training anymore. You are testing, you are competing, you are doing something that is, you're not, kind of going back to that same thing with the warm-up on the instability ball. At that point in given time, you're not trying to create a training effect. There's not going to be enough stimulus for that. You're testing your fitness, so it's okay to use it then, right? But not in a training scenario. Weighted vests. Now, if you know me, if you've been in our gym, you know I own one. Yeah, I do. I love our weighted vests. But I know what you guys are thinking, and I know what you're going to do with it. Can't let anybody run with the weighted vest. I will let you have the weighted vest if you promise me they will only do chin-ups and lunges in them. Okay? Nobody runs with the weighted vest on. Okay? If you're gonna have them do resisted sprints, they've got to have it tied to them and they got to be dragging it. Okay? That's the deal. And of course, nobody's going to make their athletes jog, right? Right. So then that's the only other way you would want to put a weighted vest on. And I'm going to tell you right now, do not put a weighted vest on and have them jump on boxes, because it will knock somebody's teeth out if it's a metal plate carrier. It's still not very comfortable, but if it's a metal plate carrier, it will pop them in the teeth. Found that out the hard way. So that is it, guys. I really, really hope this video helped. If there's anything that you have that you would like to add to this, or any questions, please question and comment them. Please let me know what you're thinking, and I will see you in the next video.